Hey everybody, I'm Ian Campbell. I'm CEO of Mission Suite. For those of you who have been watching our videos for a while, I'm sure you know this by now, but for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. Thanks for joining us. For the course of this month, I've actually been going through this kind of real talk series, and I've been producing some videos that are a bit different from the videos that I've done in the past, right? Typically, my weekly videos here are pretty well produced, they're pretty well scripted, and I stay on topic and I stay on, on this very scripted path through them. But this month is a little bit different because there have been a lot of conversations that I've been having about business ownership that I thought would be pretty valuable to folks. And I thought that I'd share some of my thoughts with them, and they just so happen to kind of work better inside of this real talk off the cuff format. So I'm going to put on my best Toastmasters hat and work through my extemporaneous speaking. Today, I am going to be talking a little bit about what keeps me going in business and why I keep going in spite of all the challenges. Before we jump in here, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell so that you're notified when we post new videos. I definitely appreciate it. Maybe give the video a like, give it a share so that other folks can see it too. But meantime, let's talk a little bit about this. Let's talk a little bit about the idea, this concept of what keeps us going in business, right? Because from the get-go in this little real talk series here, I've been kind of frank about the fact that running a business is a big challenge, and it's been a big challenge for me too, right? I started running my business when I was too young and stupid to know that I was completely unqualified to be doing what I was doing, but fortunately I was pretty good at it, so it worked out pretty well for me. But there's a lot of things that I didn't learn, and because I found success pretty early, I refused to pay attention to anybody, right? Because I was already successful. Nobody could teach me anything. Nobody had to teach me anything. Well, fast forward 20 years and I'm kicking myself for not learning some of these lessons earlier, and because I probably would have found quite a bit more success quite a bit earlier in my life than I did. So those are the types of things that I'm trying to focus on here with this series. But like I talked about in this first video here, and if you haven't seen it, you should definitely go back and check that out. But when I talked about in the first video in the series, is that running a business is hard, and there are times when it's incredibly lonely, when you don't know what you're going to do next, you don't know what the next move is. All you need is for somebody, all you want is for somebody to just sit you down and say, this is what you do, right? But more often than not, there's nobody out there to do that, because your business is your business. You're the only one that knows it. You can work with coaches, you can work with consultants, what have you, but at the end of the day, it's still got to be your decision, right? And so those types of things can be really scary. So, what keeps me going? What keeps me going when I get to a point where I look out at my bank account and I say, man, I don't know how I'm going to make payroll this week. By the way, I always make payroll this week, fortunately. But there have been times in the past that you look at these things and you say, man, I don't know what's going to work. A friend of mine used to tell me that you haven't really run a business unless you've looked at your bank account and wondered how you're going to make payroll, right? That same friend also told me that you don't really have a business until the first time you get sued. So I take that with a grain of salt. But regardless, it's a pretty common occurrence that you look at that and say, man, I just don't know if I'm going to make it this time, and something's got to give, and I don't know what it is, right? So again, what keeps you going? What keeps you moving forward? So for me, I figured I'll kind of tell you a little bit about what I focus on. First of all, I truly can't imagine doing anything else. I kind of talked a little bit about this in the first video as well. And I think in the second video, maybe even the third video of this Real Talk series, is that I really truly cannot imagine doing anything else. If you plucked me out of this business, if things got so bad for me at some point that all of a sudden I just said, you know what, I can't do it anymore, I got to fold up shop. And I don't know that I could actually just go back to working for somebody else, right? I mean, I've been the boss for 20 years, and it's always been my own thing. And so going back to that kind of employment aspect of it for me personally is terrifying. And frankly, it's scarier to think about doing that than it is to think about maybe trying to figure out how to dip into savings for the next month or so while we right the ship, right? So that's a big thing, and that's a big thing to consider. It really is, because it's something that is always in the back of my head. Because if I shut this down, what do I do next, right? And so the answer to me is always, well, I'd start another business. Well, if I'm going to start another business, then why don't I just kind of keep seeing this one through and figure out a way to kind of break through these barriers here? So that's one thing that definitely keeps me going. Second thing that really definitely drives me is my commitment to my team. So for me personally, you know, I love mentoring my team. I love finding people that have amazing talent that has gone undiscovered for whatever reason, or people that think that they are people that see themselves in a certain light, and figuring out ways to manage and utilize those folks to help them actually get better at what they're doing, right? I love that. That's a huge driver for me. And so I get to do that in my business nowadays, right? I get to do that. I get to find people. I get to, and when I do that, I make a commitment to them. And you know, it's not necessarily a verbal commitment. It's not necessarily a two-way commitment, but I do feel a very strong commitment to my team to keep going, to keep pushing forward, right? And it's an important thing. It's an important driver for me, because it does keep me moving. And when I start to think, well, maybe I should just sell this, right? Maybe I should just, maybe I want to pack up shop and go be an ice cream man, is always my joke, right? But it's in one way, shape, or form. Maybe I want to move on and do something else. Well, the question of how do I make sure that my team is taken care of always comes to mind, and that the answer to that question is, more often than not, just keep going, right? Just keep going, just keep going. And so I remember reading a quote from The Rock, from Dwayne Johnson, that was talking about the fact that, you know, at one point before he became a wrestler, he had like $8 in his pocket, something like that. And, you know, he just kept saying, you know, just keep going. All I got to do is just keep going, because something's going to hit, right? And so success comes from tenacity. So again, when I think about that, when I think about maybe just folding up shop and what have you, which again, something that happens with every founder. It's something that happens with every business owner. The question of, my God, do I really want to keep doing this, comes up. But for me, my team is a big part of that, is a big focus of mine, right? And maybe it is for you, who knows, right? All I can do is tell you what drives me. The third thing here is my commitment to my clients, right? So my clients and I do develop good relationships, especially the ones that have been with me for a really long time. And I particularly enjoy the relationships that I have with my clients, right? Obviously, I know that they would understand if it got to a point where something happened and I needed to sell the company, for example, or, you know, or if it just got to a point where it wasn't working anymore and I had to move on, whatever the case may be. I'm sure that they would understand, right? Because again, we all have our own businesses, and so we're some of the few people that actually understand these things with one another. But that commitment that I have to my clients, to making sure that they're always taken care of, that they always have that kind of that they know that I always have their back, is a huge driver for me. It's a big thing, right? And so that's another thing. And those are, you know, those three things, they're pretty standard. They're pretty, you know, if you talk to any business owner, well, hopefully anyway, if you talk to most business owners, they're going to tell you, well, yeah, I do it for my employees. I keep, you know, I'm super employee focused. I like to make sure that my team is taken care of. Awesome. I love it. Right? I'm not disparaging anybody about that, right? I love my clients. I want to make sure that they're always taken care of. Awesome, fantastic. Keep driving for them, right? For sure. But let's talk about a couple other things that really drive me, right? So, because one of the things that I've realized over the course of, I don't know, maybe the past 5 years, 10 years or so, is that we all define success in very different ways, right? And nobody's definition of success it can really be described as wrong. And if somebody does tell you that your definition of success is wrong, then maybe you shouldn't be discussing these things with that person anymore. But again, your definition of success, whatever that is going to be a huge driver for you. Your why, to leverage Simon Sinek's phraseology there. But my focus, my definition of success is freedom, right? So I know that with my business, if I keep my business going and I build my business the way that I want to do it and the way that I know that it can be built, that it will provide me the freedom that I want for myself and my family, right? It'll allow me the ability to buy a camper van and go, I don't know, tour the Canadian Rockies for a month and a half at a time and show my son and my wife and let my dog run and play in the lakes and those types of things, right? That's a huge thing for me, right? And whatever that freedom is for you, or for me at any given time, obviously that's going to change from time to time, but that kind of a thing is a huge driver for me. And so I know that my business is the way that I'm able to build it is something that is one of the few things, rather, that will actually provide me freedom like that, right? Because of the way that my business is built to be run. So, which also goes to as I'm building this business, I know it keeps my eye on the prize too. It keeps my eye on where I'm going, right? It gives me that kind of North Star that every question that I need to answer has to be focused on, will this get me to that point, right? That's my North Star. That kind of success is freedom thing. I don't care that much about money. Money is a tool to help me buy more freedom, right? But at the end of the day, freedom is the thing that I'm looking for. So that's something that continues to drive me, because I also know that, again, if I were to say, forget it, I'm done, I would have to go find something else that would give me less freedom ultimately. And I'm not willing to do that, right? So, because I'm not willing to stop chasing that freedom. So that's a huge thing for me. And then, of course, and this is, I don't know if cliche is the right term, but this is definitely something that is more of a standard driver for most people. But, I've got a wife and a son, and my son, as of this recording, is 17 months old now, right? And I want things for him that this business will provide, right? And I know that they'll provide. So it keeps pushing me forward. It keeps pushing me forward, right? I know that because of my business, I can do things like take him on a road trip through the Canadian Rockies for a month and a half, and let him see all these things and whatnot, right? I know that I can do that for him. I know that my wife would love to be a stay-at-home mom, and I can provide that for her when we get to a certain point because of this business, right? And that's how it's going to work. So that keeps me pushing forward. And again, I'm not going to lie. There are times when I feel trapped by the business. I feel trapped by my work. I feel stuck, right? It's okay, because everybody does. The question is, again, what keeps you pushing forward, right? You're going to get stuck in the muck. It's going to happen. I can promise you that. If it hasn't happened yet, it's going to happen eventually. But what really gets you through it isn't so much just, the only way out is through and just keep pushing forward, or crush it, just get out there and do it, right? Those things, yes, they can, maybe, but, they also have the tendency to lead to some pretty severe burnout, right? On the flip side, if you can focus in on those things that actually do keep you going and just create that North Star mindset in your head, you'll get through it. You'll power through it, because you know that every question has that answer at the end of it, right? And then you just have to and then here's where we start, here's where we want to finish. The gap is the problem. How do we fix the problem? So those are the things that keep me going. That's what keeps me driving. And so I hope that it's been valuable for you. I hope that you got some a couple nuggets out of this. Again, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed these thoughts, give us a like in the down in the below the video here. If you have your own thoughts, if you have, if you want to share what keeps you moving, if you want to share a little bit about yourself, we'd love to hear that from you too. I'd love to see some comments down in the comment section. If you don't agree with me on any of these things, I would love to hear that too. Keep it respectful, but I would love to hear that, right? I love getting into conversations with people that with people that have a different perspective, or maybe are thinking that, hey, Ian, you forgot this, right? Anything like that. Definitely let me know, right? Shoot it in the comments. Also, of course, subscribe, ring the bell, get notified when we're posting new videos, because, again, we do these once a week. And finally, while you're here, check out the videos that just popped up on your screen. And in the meantime, I hope you have a great day and that you find whatever is going to drive you. Cheers.